Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back to David Galata Book Dreamer. And as you can see, I'm here in the below decks, and near a maintenance hatch behind me here. So if you hear any odd clanks, sounds, or other noises, it's okay. It's probably just the machinery going off in the background, as it were. It's been a very, very interesting couple of weeks. There's been a lot going on here uh, with getting my new sound studio up and running. I can now make my audiobooks, and that's racing along really nicely. So I'm hoping that by next year, we'll actually have the first audiobook out and available, and that will be Crew of Ganges. I'm doing an order of publication. So after Crew of Ganges, which is volume one of the Crucible Spirals, I'll be working on Clockmaker for the second audiobook because that was published next, and then Veil of Strife, Painful Medicine, Tales in the Age of Unity, and so on. And yes, you did hear and so on because there's more. There's more coming up. I just got one book back from my proofreader, and that's going to go through two more rounds of editing. And I've got another book that's almost done with its proofreading, I heard, so I'm very excited about that. And here's the thing, especially if you're self-publishing, uh, some people really poo-poo self-publishing, and I understand. I do. I understand why that's the case. I've seen some self-published books that were absolutely shocking, and no formatting, no indentation for paragraphs. It looks like a giant 50-page email, and that's not appropriate. It's hard to read. Uh, there are a couple that I've seen that were interesting in their style. There was one that was written like a diary, and it was actually set up to look like a diary. And I can understand where a publisher would be like, hey, look, you can't do that. You got to do this, you got to do that. I get it, but it was very effective that way. In fact, it's very tempting. I'm really tempted to join with that because I've got some interesting ideas for it. But when you're self-publishing, one of the things that you really have to be careful of is not to be in your own little bubble and just write something out and say, there we go, it's all done, and I don't have to do it anymore, and I'm just going to publish it. No, 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 no. No, don't do that. Have some alpha readers. Have people who are around you who are willing to help. And for the most part, it's not a big deal. Uh, my first set of alpha readers, they listen. I will read whatever I've written aloud. This gets me to hear the words. So if there's something I don't like, or if there's a glaring error here, there's a problem there, I can fix it real time while they're listening, because they'll be in the room with me, while they're listening to a chapter that I've just finished. And then they give me their response, how they felt about the chapter, what they thought might need some corrections. Listen to them. Listen to them. Always listen to your alpha readers. Pick people who you trust. Pick people who know literature. Yeah, pick people who are well read and they know what's good. I have one of my alpha readers is very into what's popular now. She's always doing that. The other one is very highly educated, and she's got a lot of reading under her belt, all different genres, and that really helps. That's the first edit. The next edit goes to your beta readers. Now, I know most people will finish the book, then hand them over to the beta reader. I don't do that. I will sit there and bring one chapter at a time. After it's gone through my alphas, I'll send it off to the betas. And then I wait. I wait for their response. And they will tell me, hey, I found these errors, which is always great. You need a comma here, or this is misspelled, or wrong word. Man, it's interesting. Whenever you're working with writing programs, there's always that spell check thing. And some of them are more aggressive than others. and they instantly assume what it is that you're trying to say, and it may not be what you're trying to say, especially if you're writing science fiction and fantasy. It's a real problem. It took forever for one of my programs to get around the idea that I use rotation to mean day. It's gotten there, but it has taken a long time. Uh, the beta readers, they give you your feedback. Keep it. If it's written material, keep it. Set it aside. Make sure you revisit it. Make sure that you can look back at it later on and make the changes you need to make. Once that's done, I send my work to a proofreader who then checks it for grammar and all of that. No, I do not trust Grammarly. Grammarly has made quite a few errors that I don't really appreciate. Grammarly makes a lot of assumptions based on algorithms, of course, because it's not a human being looking it over. It's an algorithm looking it over. That doesn't really work, especially, once again, for science fiction and fantasy, because you're going to use terms and names that it will not recognize. So this is just a little bit of advice, when doing this. Once things get back from the proofreader, make those corrections. Don't say, oh, this is garbage. No, that can't be. Hang on a moment there. This is someone who does this. Take the time, go through your whole work. And when you're doing that, make sure that your beta reader material is ahead of you, because that's going to be part of your next revision. After the proofreader is done, your formatting is going to be a little different. You're going to have spaces. You're going to have some oddities in your manuscript. So you want to correct those. Correct as many of those as possible. I really don't like reading a book and seeing John said to Lou. No. I don't want a whole line with like word-sized gaps in it. No, I will actually rewrite sentences, rewrite paragraphs, so that I don't have those massive spaces. You will not find those in my books. They will not be there. I find them distracting. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who does. I'd rather rewrite and reformulate what I'm doing. And that means, guess what? It needs another edit. You've got to be able to go through your book with a fine-tooth comb, and don't read the book as a story. Read each line independently. You want to make sure every sentence makes sense, it's grammatically correct, and you got this is work. This is work. It takes work to write a book, plain and simple. My final edit is the read-through. That's where I am taking the story and I'm going through it. Just, if something catches my eye, it catches my eye. But here I'm looking for tone. I'm looking to make sure that I'm saying what I think I'm saying, and I'm producing the emotions I think I'm producing, and I'm just going through it and making sure that it flows beautifully. So it is a 5-edit process. And then I get ready for publishing. I have seen lately so many errors in modern books. I look at some of the modern science fiction coming out, some of the modern fantasy, and wow, I am shocked and appalled by how sloppy the editing seems to be. But then I realize they have like a team of editors, and they're all using Grammarly. They're all using the same programs in order to do their job, instead of actually taking the time to look at each book as a human being, line by line. They're not doing that. The censors are, but not the editors, and that's a real problem. And not the writers. Not for nothing. It's your book. It's got your name on it. It's got your title. And yes, you can't produce a 400-page book without there being an error here and there, but not every page. That's the difference. Not every page. If I find an error in a book and it's one per chapter, all right, I'll put up with it for the sake of the story, if the story is good enough. If the story is not good enough, I might not put up with it. But if, like every other or every 3 chapters, there's there's a little glitch there, a forgotten letter, forgotten words ooh, those are infamous because your mind puts them in there. that's, ooh, that's tricksy. So you have to be careful for those things. But if it's not too many, if a book has 400-page book's got 8 errors in it, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. Now, when I'm making a second edition, yes, I'm one of those people. I will reread my book and write down everything I find that I missed, because you're always going to miss something. My apprentice, I have an art studio, and my apprentice read the 8th edition of Dune by Frank Herbert and found wrong words, missing words, and even a misspelled word. This is the 8th edition. It's been through teams of editors over and over and over and over, and still there are errors in the book. Let this be a lesson to us all. So be careful, be mindful of your reader, because if you're annoying yourself with your book, you're going to annoy the reader even more. So you want to be careful about that. Normally for these installments for Book Dreamer, I talk more about my dreams and I talk more about each book and the things going on in each book. But I thought it might be really nice for you guys to hear a little bit about how I go about writing these books. Now, before the editing, you got your first draft. You don't know what's going to happen with your first draft. I mean, I know if I'm writing in Word and I get over 200 pages, it shifts the margins. Wow, now I got all kinds of gaps in everything that I've read. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. I'm going to catch that on the next round of editing before it even reaches the proofreader. And it's going to happen again after the proofreader. There's going to be, gaps and oddities. And again, I don't worry about it. I'm going to get back to that. But before I even write the first draft of the manuscript, I have notes. I have notes. Notebooks worth of notes. I love getting those cheap Scholastic notebooks, little spiral ones. They come in colors, red and green and blue. And I like to pick a couple of them per book, because quite honestly, I go through 2 of those for every book that I write, making notes to myself as an author, making notes about what I want to put in, where, character notes. I have character sheets. Every main character in my books has their own little character sheet, like you'd see in an RPG, like you'd see it in D&D or, any of the other, role-playing games with dice and paper. Everyone's got their character sheet. I decided to make a character sheet for all of my main characters. What kind of foods do they like? Do they have a mate? Do they have pets? What's their rank? What's their full name? What was their childhood like? What's their favorite color? Things like that add details to the work. These all go into my character sheets. So I can just look it up and go, oh yeah, this one's allergic to, and that could be part of the story. If I'm curious about, well, how would this person respond to this situation? I look up their character sheet. Oh, they really don't like doctors because this happened when they were a kid. Great. Okay, now I know how the character is going to respond. This is really, I found to be very, very helpful in making complex characters and their interactions. If they're married to someone, or they have a boyfriend or girlfriend or mate or whatever, I want to know who they are just as much as I want to know the character. What if they're thinking about, oh, so-and-so is waiting for me back at home and, they don't like it when I'm late because I'm late often. That has to be in there. It adds to the richness of the character. Notes. You want environment notes. Yeah, it's world building. And some people don't really like world building, but you know what? If you've got a really nice, complete world, it really helps set the tone for the rest of the book. It's, a magnificent thing. And the first thing, of course, I do is write down the dream that the book is inspired by. And as a book dreamer, that's vital too. You don't want to miss out on details, where you want to be able to pick out what I don't want, what I do want, and be able to work from there. So I hope you have enjoyed this installment of David Galata, Book Dreamer. I'll be back next week, and who knows what topic I'm going to pick out, but I'm going to pick out something fun. All right, everyone, you have a great week. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe. Please, please. It really helps me. All right, everyone, take care.